Welcome to the Bragging Rights Podcast. I am Jarrett Thompson. With me, Kyle Randolph. The first episode ever of this Bragging Rights Podcast. It is June 14th, a Tuesday. And Kyle, how are you doing today?
Doing great, man. Happy to be here. We love betting on sports, so what better way to do it than with an audience doing a podcast?
Exactly, and that's what this podcast is going to be going forward. Just talking sports betting, and what plays we like. We'll give out our picks. You're able to tail or fade them. However, we aren't experts. We do this for fun. We are going to try to win money for ourselves and hopefully for all of you listeners as well. It's a Tuesday today. We only got baseball. The Stanley Cup final starts tomorrow. NBA Finals resumes on Thursday. Kyle, as a Celtics fan, last night was pretty rough to watch.
Melted down. Like, you guys started coming back in the third quarter, which is normally the Warriors' quarter. So I was like, Curry hasn't made a three. You guys are taking over during their quarter. You can't lose this game, right? And it somehow happened because Wiggins and a whole bunch of other fiascos.
No, I know. I'm not one. I don't ever blame the refs because there's a lot that goes into it. There were some crappy calls by the refs. Like, I think it was Peyton, tripped himself. They called a foul. Draymond's running into our huddle. I'm kind of like, okay. However, 18 turnovers and 10 missed free throws, whatever it was, you're just not going to win a game doing that.
Oh, and you don't deserve to
Yeah,
if you shoot that poorly.
And I still am confident that Celtics can win it in 7, but Curry being a shooter, shooters have off nights. So you knew he was going to have an off night eventually. And the Celtics had to win the game that he did, and they didn't. So that was tough. Warriors covered the 3. But that's a new day. Let's get into today. So good baseball slate. Everyone plays today. And Pirates Cardinals have a doubleheader. Game 1's about an hour. I'm not on anything in that play. Depending on the outcome, I could be on Game 2, especially if the Pirates beat the Cardinals in Game 1. I don't think they'll lose both today. But let's jump into the slate. Is there any game, Kyle, looking at the slate that initially jumped out at you?
Yes, right away. And I get it. Baseball's weird with the minus 1.5, obviously. It's hard for teams to cover in general. But what really stood out to me, and we have a little thing on this podcast I like to introduce called the Dog of the Day. We have an underdog of the day and a play of the day. We'll get more into those later. But this is my Dog of the Day already. I noticed the Dodgers covering against the Angels with their arguably the Dodgers' best pitcher pitching, Gonsolin, is their dogs. It's only plus 115, but they're dogs that cover against an Angels team that is struggling. They snapped their losing streak. But Syndergaard's pitching, who's good, obviously. But with Gonsolin pitching, and you guys being the Dodgers, they're the freaking Dodgers. Good. It's do they know something I don't? Because I don't see how they don't cover. I get it. It's baseball. It's hard to cover. Syndergaard's a good pitcher for the Angels. But, geez, the Dodgers being underdogs, that's definitely my dog of the day. So, sorry to ramble on it. That's what stood out to me immediately. When I saw that plus number in front of the Dodgers to cover at home with, as of right now, their best pitcher statistically pitching. Because I'm probably still a Walker Buehler guy if I had to choose. But it's crazy to me. Let me know if I'm missing something or if I'm being weird by saying this. What do you think?
I like the Dodgers tonight too. Like you said, Angels, they've just been bad. And until they go on a win streak or get some, I will say, historically, it seems like the Angels tend to beat up on the Dodgers a little bit, which is a little more kind of confusing. But the only thing that scares me about the run line is taking run lines at home. It's because they don't get, obviously, the ninth inning at bat. So I am hesitant hesitant with that a little bit. However, I do like to play. Tony Gonsolin has been their best pitcher and kind of a savior. I mean, like at Padres winning last night, they're now tied with the Dodgers for first place in the division. Dodgers just got swept by the Giants. Dodgers don't get swept a lot, and they've been swept by the Pirates and the Giants each in the last like 2 weeks.
And that's probably why the line's like this, but still, I feel like there's so much value.
Yeah, and Gonsolin's been the savior. I mean, Bueller, he's obviously out 6 to 8 weeks now, but his 3 starts before that has not been good. Urias has been inconsistent, and Kershaw's been injured. So Gonsolin's literally been like a savior. You can argue he's been the Cy Young in the National League so far. I like Dodgers too. The 1.5 scares me a little bit. I like more the money line. However, it is like minus 200, which is not great. I mean, I guess if you're building like a little bit of a bigger parlay, it's not awful.
It's a piece,
but it's not great value. I think I like the under in that game. I know it opened at like 9. I think it's around 8.5. If I can get it at like 9, I like the under. I don't see the Angels scoring a lot. I can see, a 6-2, 5-2 kind of victory for the Dodgers. So my initial lean on that game is kind of the under. But already getting the dog of the day out there.
Yes, and actually I just checked my William Hill. As of right now, it already moved to plus 110. So it still is a dog, but it's moving.
Yeah, people are on it. I mean, it doesn't matter who the Dodgers play. People will be on the Dodgers minus 1.5. Dodgers run line is just always it. I'm trying to see what I can find it on. Yeah, I've seen it at like plus 110 to even money, anywhere from around there. But all right, I'll take us elsewhere. The first game that jumped out at me, and it's the Atlanta Braves. Now, 12 in a row, they've won. And I normally I don't like to bet on streaks. I know a lot of bettors, they like to ride a streak out. As soon as someone reaches like 5 in a row or 6 in a row, they like to ride it out. I'm actually not one of those guys. I'm one that I'm afraid. I'm like, they're due for a loss, right? Definitely. They're not going to win the rest of the season. However, today I love the Braves run line, minus 1.5. Max Fried's on the mound, their ace, and Nationals are calling up a rookie for his first career start. Now, would it be the total Braves thing to do and lose their 12-game win streak on their ace losing to a rookie? Probably. But to me, it's just the Nationals. The Braves are miles better than the Nationals. Nationals are brutal. And even if they were able to scratch a few runs off Fried, I don't see them containing this Braves offense. We saw last night Nationals got 5 off of Anderson in the bullpen of the Braves, and Braves scored 8. So to me, Braves minus 1.5. I don't know exactly my play of the day yet, but that's one. I love that play. You can get it like minus 120, minus 125. I think Fried on the bum. I think they continue and get their 13th straight win.
Yeah, and I don't always want to agree with you because we haven't even had a disagreement yet, but it's what you said. It's against Washington. How can I not agree with you? It's an ace against Washington. Like, there's not much I could say. Like, I want to have this intense debate and make it all fiery personalities here, but I can't say anything to that, I don't see how it won't happen. I don't see how the Braves will not cover, but who knows?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about looking into a couple not even money line bets, just a couple no runs in the first inning, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The best one I found was the Mariners Twins, in my opinion. Both pitchers ERAs are below 3, and none of their bats are crazy.
I love it. Now, Mariners nerfies scare me because they're like one of the top teams in scoring the first inning. However, Joe Ryan, the pitcher for the Twins, it's his first start back, if I'm not mistaken, after a while. I think he was injured for a little bit. I love betting on Joe Ryan. He's been one of those guys to me this year that I just love betting on. He's been fantastic. Um, I had trouble picking a side in this game too, because Logan Gilbert's been the Mariners' best pitcher, and Mariners played a little bit better as of late. But the Twins' bats have been inconsistent, and same with the Mariners all year. So I love the Nerfy. It's my favorite Nerfy of the day. We just got to hope Byron Buxton doesn't hit another home run. The dude's hit like 5 home runs in the last 3 games. Absolutely cracked
He's
out.
insane.
So they can just get through that first inning. But I love that Nerfy. I also like the first 5 innings under 3.5.
That's a good one.
As well.
I don't see a lot of offense in this game. I almost wanted to say the under, but it's at 7, which isn't that huge.
Yeah, and last night was under 2. I believe the final score is 3-1, 3-2 maybe. So I love the Nerfy in that play as well.
Yeah, it really stood out to me with that. I like Joe Ryan as well, and honestly, I didn't even think of it till talking to you right now. The under in the game being at 7. It's actually an underdog. On my William Hill, it's at plus 110 for under 7, and I'm really tempted for this one. I'm thinking of putting a unit on it, but I'm more confident in the no run in the first. But that's at minus 125 as of now. So I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger on that one, but I'm probably more confident on the Nerfy, the no run in the first. But
the one thing, that's why lately I've been more on first 5 innings unders, because I've noticed like I'll love an under because those 2 starting pitchers, and then the bullpen allows 6, and it goes over. So I'm like, I'm done relying on the bullpens, and I'll try to take the first 5 inning unders and just ride the starters. So that's why 3.5 is a bit low. I don't usually like taking unders on 3.5. I at least want the 4 for the push, or 4.5 ideally. But that went down to 7. I saw it at 7.5 in Minnesota, Seattle. It's gone down to 7. So that's a bit tough for me.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I might pull the trigger on the no run first inning, but it's a little iffy. It's a little tough because it's always like, even though I do love this decision too on paper, all it takes is 1 home run. You could easily lose. So that's why I do like your theory. You do the 5 innings because you write it out with the starters, and if somebody gets a fluky home run or whatever on like the very first pitch of the game, you're not done. So exactly. I do like that one. What was the line at again for that one?
For the first 5 under?
Yeah. I know 3.5 is a tough number. But.
Yeah, 3.5 is a bit low, and that's why it's around like minus 110.
Okay. That one stands out to me the most.
I'm going to go ahead and switch from an under to an over. And I like the over in the Marlins-Phillies game. So, Phillies have been on a roll. Last night we had a pitching duel. Sandy Alcantara, who's been the best pitcher in the league, and Aaron Nola. Final score 3-2. Phillies walked it off. Phillies have been hot. I don't like a side in this game either. But Trevor Rogers has kind of been a disappointment so far this year. Zach Eflin's been, he's been Zach Eflin. But I like the over. The over has hit in 7 of the Phillies' last 10, 6 of the Marlins' last 10. It's sitting right now at 8.5, and I like the over in the game. Phillies have a brutal bullpen if it does get late. I think both teams score. I really like the over in the Phillies-Marlins game.
It is a pretty big number, but all your stats back it up. The 8.5 is pretty big, but it's, as you said too, the bullpen is a really big deal in this, because there's been so many times I felt hopeless after like the first like 4 or 5 innings. Not 4, that's too early. After like 5 innings, even sometimes 6, but brutal bullpens, bro. They do wonders for people that bet overs.
Yeah, and I'm going to list off some stats here on some of these Phillies games. In the Phillies' last 6 games, allowing 2 runs or less. In the previous game, which only let up 2 last night, they over 6-0. In the Marlins' last 4, when their opponent allows 2 or less, when they only scored 2 or less in one game, the over's 4-0 the next one. So both teams, like after a good pitching duel, the bats tend to wake up. Overs 5-1 in the Phillies' last 6 versus lefties. They like hitting lefties. So I really love it. These games, like I said, have been going over. 7 of the last 9 home games for the Phillies have gone over. I think the bats wake up.
And that makes perfect sense. I wasn't even aware of the trend you just brought up. That is very valuable information. And
Yeah.
I can't help but agree again. That sounds like that's all I'm saying this episode. But it's hard not to agree with that. I know that's the exact same thing I said about the Atlanta game. But as you said, it's easy to bet an over on terrible bullpens for me. I kind of have a thing for that, actually. I don't bet on it a lot, but I have a thing of looking at that and looking at teams with bad
Yeah.
bullpens. And bullpens matter severely to the game, too.
Yeah.
They change the momentum. There's been many teams over my life that have had such good starters, but they lose many, especially regular season games. And with how today's game is of pulling the starter even earlier, they lose many games because of that.
Yeah.
So that one, I do like that play as well. It had me thinking.
Yep.
So I was also thinking about forming a little parlay with some other money lines, because the leading part of that would be my Dodgers play, which is a very, very slight, but underdog odds. So I was actually thinking of going the Guardians money line, and my dad actually always bet on Bieber, who's starting. And then this year he said he stopped. He was like, it's not as powerful as it once was. But probably true, but I disagree with him because I still think Bieber's a stud. His ERA is within the twos, high twos, but and against the Rockies as well, the money line is pretty big, so that's what I'm saying as like a parlay piece. But I'm gonna say I don't want to say steal necessarily, but with how much the Rockies aren't that good of a team, both teams are pretty close in the standing. Minus 162 for a piece is not terrible. I would expect it to be closer to minus 200, to be honest.
Yeah. No, yeah, Bieber, he's not as dominant as he was because he's like he's one of those guys that got hit with when they banned the sticky stuff.
Yeah.
So he kind of got affected by that. But yeah, this game I couldn't really get a read on. Over under's like 11 right now. In Coors, I can never bet an under no matter what. It's like I said, I had trouble getting a read on it, kind of skimmed by it. I usually like betting Bieber too, but being in Coors, not too sure exactly. Cleveland, I think, has lost 8 straight in Colorado.
Yeah, and I did notice that, but I don't know. It's just so hard for
streaks
me.
always have to end, right?
Yes, agree. Streaks have to end, and even though it's a scary thing too, I love pitching. I prioritize pitching above all else when I'm talking about a team winning a game or a team winning a playoff series. Pitching is what really matters to me. So it's hard for me to not bet on Bieber against average below average team like the Rockies. It is in Coors though, so it does scare me a bit, and that whole streak thing, but it's just hard for me not to bet on an ace that is really good against a team that's not at least good, you know?
Yeah. No, I get it. Moving on to another team with an ace that's playing a team that's not good, and that's the Royals and the Giants. So I was actually on the Royals last night as dogs against the Giants, and they went up 2-0 and ended up blowing it. But I like the Giants' run line today. Again, I said earlier, not a fan of home team run lines, but the Royals are bad. The Royals are really bad. Chris Bubich pitching is bad as well. So I'm Logan Webb on the mound for the Giants, their best pitcher. He's been really good at home. Giants, they said they're kind of hot right now. Just swept the Dodgers, have the Royals in town. I think the Giants continue it. I'm taking the run line. And I think I'm going to ride with it. That's going to be one of my plays. It's a straight bet more than a parlay piece. not one of my favorite plays. I'm not super, super confident, but Giants are just hot right now. And kind of similar to the Braves, I'm just going to ride them out.
Yeah, and I don't blame you for that at all. It was my same mentality for the Bieber game for Cleveland. It's an ace against a bad team. At home, again, they don't get the ninth, but at the same time, I'm confident the team will play better, obviously, at home. So it's hard for me not to agree once again. It's covering is hard, though. It is. And the Giants don't have insane bats. That's the only thing that scares me about the cover. And I'm pretty sure that's why you're even a little iffy about it. They don't have the Dodgers bats to cover.
Yeah.
But it's what you said. It's a straight. I wouldn't put in a parlay, and I can't say I disagree to force a little disagreement here. It's hard to, but it's definitely one for me personally where I'm just going to go nowhere near touching it.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion on that. I can't say I disagree. Because if my life was on the line and I was at gunpoint and I had to choose, I'd say, yeah, the Giants cover. But I'd be very scared they win by 1.
No, I get it. I'm this is more of a play that, not that I love the Giants, but that just the Royals are so bad. Royals are so bad.
I agree. I agree with that too, 100%. That's definitely something that stands out. I like good pitchers against bad teams, so.
Yeah.
And I was looking at other games. This is when the ones I'm really confident in start to slip. Because we've been pretty into these. We've been hammering these. But one that I like, the odds are so big. So it has to be a parlay piece. And I'm not confident enough to bet a cover, surprisingly. I should be. It's the Yankees against the Rays. The Yankees are at home against the Rays. Money line, when I checked this morning, and it's probably gone even worse. It was 210. Minus 210 for the Yankees with Jarrett Cole against Kluber. And Kluber's not a bad pitcher himself. Divisional games are not as weird as they are in football, obviously, but divisional games against two good teams, because the Rays are a pretty good team, it's really hard for me to be confident in. But with how good the Yankees are, and I want to say, because Garrett Cole's on the mound, but honestly, if any other top 4 starters are on the mound, you're in pretty good hands if you bet on them. But again, it's hard for me not to say them. And it's not even my whole an ace against a bad team, because the Rays are a good team. This one I'm more iffy on, honestly, than even the Guardians game for me, which you were iffy on that one. But I'm iffy on this one just because of what I said, divisional games, and one team's way better. I can't even go as far as saying way better. They're 9 games above the Rays, but it's interesting. Divisional games with 2 good teams are weird to me, but I like the Yankees money line as a parlay piece and nothing else because it's such a big number.
Yeah, I like the Yankees tonight too, but like you said, I don't like the run line, and the money line is just it's a lot of juice. But Garrett Cole was awful his last start. I loved it looking at the slate yesterday because I knew he's going to bounce back. I kind of lean the under. I just can't take an under in the Yankee game because they can explode, and it's sitting at 8 is tough. But I do see a low scoring battle. But I'm with you. I like the Yankees. It's too much juice for me, and I don't like the run line at home. And again, we talked about it a few weeks ago when you and I were talking, and the Yankees played the Rays. It's still early in the season, but the Yankees play the Rays and the Blue Jays and the Rays again. These are big series for the Rays and Blue Jays. They need to win. They need to catch some ground. You can't be sitting 12 out. It's going to be tough to come back from. So it's a big series. I know the Rays are going to come out, guns blazing, trying to steal some wins. So that game, I'm not going to touch anything, but I did lean Yankees in the under when I first saw it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the under. I lean there too, definitely. That's because the pitcher's going. Kluber's not even bad. He's not what he once was, but he's not bad at all. And Garrett Cole is Garrett Cole. And I like your philosophy of if such a good pitcher that's like typically Cy Young caliber has a bad game, it's really hard to do it 2 times in a row. But again, same exact reason you said. I don't want to just repeat yourself, but it's the Yankees. So it's hard to bet under. Who knows if Matt Carpenter and Jose Trevino and Joey Gallo even will hit bombs. You just don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. All right. So for the rest of these games, I'm kind of go through them. I'll say the game, and Kyle, you and I can just kind of give each other our like initial leans, what we're leaning on that game. Just go a little bit quicker. So Kyle, do you have any leans looking at the Orioles and Blue Jay game?
I gotta lean on the Blue Jays clearly, just because they're a way better team. I could never bet on the Orioles, even if it's to cover, but that's a game I just will not touch. The Blue Jays haven't been insanely good. They've been heating up, and they're really good. They just, to keep it short, the talent. They just have so much more talent. I'm not gonna bet on a far less talented team, no matter what the record is, even no matter what's happening, no matter what the line is, even. Okay, well, not that, but you know what I mean. It's just I'm never gonna bet on a team that has so much less talent.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the over. Actually, the more I'm looking at it too, the more I like it. Um, it's if I can get it at 9, I absolutely love it. 9.5 is obviously a little bit more risky. I still like it, but I love it at 9. Blue Jays over is hitting 7 straight home games. This team rakes in their home ballpark. I don't.
Yeah,
Is it still called the Rogers Center? I think it's still called the Rogers Center. I don't know. People change their stands all the time, but they
it is.
rake in Toronto. And Baltimore's got a sneaky good offense too. Their overs hitting 8 of the last 10. Last night, Blue Jays absolutely blew them up. I love betting the Blue Jays when Manoah and Gosman are on the mound. Those are my guys. I love, tailing them. But the one I stay away from all the time is Kikuchi. Kikuchi has his decent starts, but also can get hit around. He's not going to shut out the Orioles. I'm convinced the Orioles score. I see this being like a 4-4 game kind of going into the 7th, 8th, ninth inning. And I think if it's at 9, I think you're going to hit 9. So I actually really love the over in that game.
Yes, nine's a big number, but with Kikuchi and Lyles going, it's hard for me not to say that.
Yeah.
And Toronto, again, their talent, a lot of it comes with their bats. And Orioles, as you mentioned, their bats aren't as awful as some would think.
No, not at all. So I really like the over in that one. To another game, White Sox and Tigers. Initial thing that's jumped out at me, and I don't know why, but it's the White Sox, and I for some reason leaned them a lot, and they've probably been the most disappointing team in baseball so far this year. I think head coach Tony Lewis is going to get canned soon. I leaned White Sox, but I see the value. It's kind of juiced up to minus 200, which I'm not a huge fan of. Probably going to stay away from everything in that game, but my initial lean was the White Sox.
Same, and I would too. I'd definitely stay away from this game because the Tigers, they're weird. For how bad they are, they have surprisingly, and a lot of people don't even know, a really good bullpen. So even though their starter, Hutchinson, is not really good, I'm not, for a minus 200, I don't see this game and think, oh, minus 200 White Sox. I know the Tigers are not a good team, but they have a better bullpen, and as you said, the White Sox got issues going on with their coach right now, and momentum is definitely not on their side. So I don't see that being anywhere near minus 200 to bet on. I'm staying away.
Yeah. And speaking of staying away, this next game might be, I have no read on this game, and that's the Brewers Mets. Chris Bassett, the starter for the Mets, has not been good lately. It's been brutal, but he's playing a Brewers lineup that might be one of the worst in the league. To me, if you know me, I'm not a huge fan of the Brewers. They've cost me so much coin this year. Don't know why I bet on them. They don't have a lineup, in my opinion. I think Cardinals eventually run away with that division. I know the Brewers have the pitching, but the middle of the Brewers order is Rowdy Tellez, Jace Peterson, and Andrew McCutchen. Like, to me, that's just not going to get it done. So you have the weak Brewers lineup, a Brewers team that has not been good. They just lost a series against Washington. But Bassett hasn't been great, so I lean Mets, but I can't get a read on that game at all.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch that game, and mainly for the reasons you said. The Mets pitcher, he's not that good, and obviously I would lean towards the Mets just because they're the better team. Obviously, my whole talent argument, their record, very basic argument, so for that. And it's really hard for me to bet on a starting pitcher since I told you I love pitching so much. Even though I love my talent arguments, it's to bet on a pitcher that's not good. I'm definitely staying away. And the Brewers aren't awful either. So I lean towards Mets just because of the very basic things, but definitely not touching.
Yeah. Oakland and Boston. Kyle, I'm interested to hear your read. I have a play on this game that I love.
Really? Because I was going to say not going to put in a parlay or anything, but I like Boston on this one. I do. I think their record is not as good as they are since they've been so hot as of the past month. So their record's it's not like when I look at this, I'm not like, oh yeah, a team with a near even record against a really bad losing record team. I don't see it that way because the Red Sox have been heating up so much. And just because they're hot, momentum's on their side, home, many reasons I've repeated. I actually like the Red Sox in this one pretty heavy. I do see it as a minus 200, which if you say the opposite, we'll get a debate going. But a new pitcher, not really new. He hasn't pitched much. He's pitched like 4 innings, the starter for the Athletics today. It's one of those. He can pop off because he's young. He had one bad game. That's why his ERA is high. He's pitched 4 innings. You never know, but I feel like a hot team like the Sox against a new pitcher that's not that experienced on a bad team, it's just a recipe of disaster for Oakland. I like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. I like your Red Sox money line, but I'm going to take it a step further and do Red Sox run line.
Really?
Yeah, just two teams on the opposite side of the spectrum. A's 1-9 their last 10. Red Sox 8-2. I'm always a little hesitant after a team finishes a road trip in their first game back home. And Red Sox just had a long West Coast road trip, first game back home. So I'm a little hesitant with that. But Red Sox just made a trip out to Oakland, swept them. Nick Pivetta was fantastic against Oakland. This Jarrett Koenig guy, like I said, he made his one start against the Braves. Wasn't awful. I just don't. This Red Sox lineup's legit. Said run line obviously is a little bit more scary. However, I think Red Sox get it done at home with Pivetta on the mound, who's been really good as of late. Got hit a little bit. I believe he was a starter when the Angels broke their streak. I think he bounces back at home, and Red Sox get it done.
Yes, it's one of those. It's very borderline for me on if them covering, because even your points were convincing too. It's very borderline if I'm that confident in it. I am more confident in it than like my other moneyline plays I mentioned that isn't the Guardians or honestly even Yankees. But yeah. It's very borderline. It's not like the Brewers where I'm like, yeah, the Mets just because of record and I can't bet on a Brewers team. It's not like that. It's really borderline and hard to really decide if I'm confident in it. As you said, because run line's always scary. And the Red Sox aren't that amazing of a team, even though I just said they're so hot. So it's one of those. I don't think I'll touch it, but it's definitely has a higher chance of getting touched than a lot of other games we have going.
Absolutely. To wrap it up on baseball, any more little plays you like of any of the games we haven't talked about?
Only one, and not confident enough to touch, is the Astros money line. It's just because they're such a good team. It's always nice to see a good team at like minus 120, minus 125 range. But again, it's been weird. Texas is weird. They beat a lot of, despite having a losing record, they beat a lot of teams that they have no business beating. I got to look up statistics on that, but every single time I've thought of betting against them, thank goodness I haven't, I've noticed they've won a lot. Like, they beat the Astros the other day. So They're weird. Texas is one of those where I actually view them as a good underdog team, but just because of their record and their talent doesn't stand out to me, I'm never actually gonna bet it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I like the Rangers tonight. Now, I would love it even more if the Astros held on and won yesterday. You know how I am with betting teams coming off a loss. So it's a little more nerve-wracking saying, Astros are going to lose 2 in a row. But Dane Dunning is a strikeout pitcher for the Rangers. Astros, prone to a strikeout. And to me, it's more fading Jose Urquidy, the Astros pitcher. He's just kind of a different pitcher from being at home and being on the road. Like you said, Rangers are like that tricky team. They're 29-31. They playing as well as of late, and they just like steal victories out of nowhere that you wouldn't expect them to steal. So I actually like the Rangers, my dog of the day, over the
Really?
Astros. Yeah,
Okay, interesting. We had a disagreement.
it
So
could be a bragging rights battle.
it might have to be. I didn't hear anything else.
Yeah,
But
and my last play that I haven't talked about that I just want to quickly mention
yeah.
is Reds Diamondbacks. I like the over. I believe it opened at 8.5. It's like 9 now. I like the over on that. These two teams tend to go over. I'm not super high on this play. It's just a lean. These two teams played each other a few nights ago or last week in Cincinnati, and a few games went over. I haven't done a ton of research on that. Just quick lean based looking at it. I kind of like the over on it.
Yeah, they're both not really good pitchers. So there's not much to really say about it. It's a lean and nothing else, and I agree with that. It's tough to say anything else about it. Two not so good pitchers, and over always sounds interesting. I wouldn't pick that one. Not even the most confident over we've mentioned today, but it's definitely a lean.
Yeah. All right. Before we get in, so at the end of every episode, we'll list our play of the day, dog of the day. We'll each build a parlay. I want to talk about Stanley Cup Final. Starts tomorrow. The series line where I've seen it, Tampa Bay plus 155, Colorado around minus 165 to minus 175. I want to hear your opinion, Kyle, on the series. Who do you think wins the Stanley Cup based on value or what you think?
Such a basic reason, and it's a boring answer to a lot of people. But I just can't go against the Lightning. I know even for game 1, they're like plus 140, but I can't go against them to win a series. The Avalanche have looked like the better team throughout the playoffs to me. They have. But I could never just go up to somebody and say, hey, I think the Lightning are going to lose this series after they just repeated. I can't say it. So if my life is on the line, I'm going to go with them, which really blows my mind because I feel like the Avalanche have played better throughout the playoffs. But it happens many times during hockey. Hockey is a pretty interesting sport.
Yeah, personally, I want the Avalanche. I don't want a team to three-peat. You want the new thing. I love Nathan McKinnon. Want him to see him win one. But I mean, based off the betting odds, the value's all on Tampa Bay. Plus 155 in the Stanley Cup Final. I'll take that.
Yeah, to take a team that has repeated and still looks great at plus 155, how could you not?
If they lose game 1, I might even possibly go double down because that's going to go to plus 200 or something.
I wouldn't blame you. I don't think anybody could blame you.
I think, and this is my takeaway is Vasilevsky's the best goalie in the league. He's been so cracked out. The under is hit in Lightning games 9 of the last 10. Like Vasilevsky's just cracked out. The Avalanche have been letting up, 3 to 4 to 5 goals, and so far in the playoffs against Nashville, St. Louis, and and Edmonton. If they do that again, they're not scoring 4, 5, 6 every game against Vasilevsky. To me, if Vasilevsky plays on top of his game, I don't know if Colorado has a goaltending that can match it and stop Tampa Bay from scoring. So
Yeah.
Colorado's offense is amazing, but if they're going to have to beat Vasilevsky and get insane goaltending. I don't know if Kemper's back from either Kemper or Francouz, whoever's in goal. They're going to have to be the best they've ever played to try to match Vasilevsky and give their offense a chance, because it's just difficult for me to see. For the value bet, plus 155 on Lightning, I like both bets on Lightning to win in 6 or Lightning to win in 7. On Westgate, it's plus 600 in 6, plus 650 to win in 7. I like both those bets as well. Still waiting for my read on game 1, but for the series, that's what I like.
Yeah, and it's hard not to agree. Once again, I keep saying those words, but everything you said is true, and it's something I've always thought about. For me, it's similar to how much I freak out about pitching in baseball, especially in the playoffs. I say hot pitching is everything. Yeah. I feel the same thing about a goalie. I feel like a hot goalie is everything. It's what you need to win a cup. And obviously, the Avalanche, they don't have bad goaltending. Obviously, they're here. They're in the Stanley Cup Finals. You don't get there with bad goaltending, but they're not the Lightning in terms of goaltending. And sounds like a silly, simple reason as well, but I really lean towards the hot goalie. And it's not even just a hot goalie out of nowhere that's young or whatever. It's the best goalie.
Yeah. No, I get it. The Rangers wouldn't have made it as far as they did without Igor being the best goalie this season. Lightning, the reason they're going for a third straight year is because of Andrei Vasilevsky, best goalie in the hockey in the last 3 years, and look what they're doing. So that's my lean on that, though. All right, so now we're towards the end of the show, where we're just gonna, build our plays. So we're always gonna have a play of the day, a dog of the day, and Kyle and I will each build our own parlay for the day, and you'll be able to find those all on our Twitter account at Bragging Rights. So, Kyle, what's your favorite play of the day? Looking at the lines, all your lanes, have you decided what your play of the day is?
Yes, and I'm not just trying to say this to sound shocking for a first episode or anything. The Dodgers covering at underdog odds. I'm not like, oh, that's a value play or anything. It is, but that's what I'm most confident in today. It was very close between that one or the Yankees money line or the Guardians money line, but the Guardians money line, it's an ace against a mediocre to bad team. Confident in that one, but the Guardians are not the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are against a struggling team with their best statistical pitcher going right now. There's just no way I can't say them. That's why I said earlier, I'm scared it's the Vegas trap. It seems, maybe I'm overreacting, but it seems too good to even be true. So I'm not just saying it for value because it's an underdog. I'm saying it just in general. It's the most confident thing I'm in for today.
Okay, yeah, I'm going on to check to see what the line is on.
Let's see if it's still even at underdogs. It went from plus 115 to plus 110 last time I checked.
For me, it's at plus 105.
Okay, William Hill is still at plus 110, but by the time this drops, they might not even be an underdog, and it might all be messed up. But
no, that's your dog of the day as well?
Yes, it is. My play of the day is my dog of the day.
And you have it at plus 110. Okay. All right, and then I'll go into my play of the day is Braves minus 1.5. I've seen it right now for minus 125. I think it's going to go up, possibly even more, which so you don't want it to be too juiced. But I love it. Braves on this, win streak that they're on, they've covered. They're 8-2 in run line bets in their last 10 games. So 8 of the last 10 games, obviously that they've won them all, they've won by 2 or more. So, excuse me, they've been not just barely squeaking by. They've been winning. So my favorite play of the day is Braves by 2. I see it all the way up to minus 140, minus 145 now, even minus 150 on places. So obviously that's a little bit of a big number, but even as a parlay piece, I think it's a safe bet. My
Yeah,
dog,
I like
my
that.
yeah, my dog of the day, as I mentioned a little bit ago, Texas Rangers money line. I think Dunning at home. I think they get it done. Astros lost 2 out of 3 to Miami. Lost the first one to the Rangers yesterday. I think they're having trouble a little bit right now. Not playing their best ball. Their winning starts by Verlander, but their other starters, they kind of just ride with them, and they haven't been great. And I don't think Yurkurdy will be great. I've seen this at plus 110 and plus 105 on places, so light dogs, but I'll take the Rangers at home. And I think, Kyle, that's going to be our bragging rights play. So for all the listeners, every episode, every day, mainly every episode, whenever we do episodes, we'll have a bragging rights play where Kyle and I go against each other on a play we disagree with. So today, Kyle is riding the Astros money line, I'm riding the Rangers money line, and we'll see who has bragging rights coming into tomorrow.
Yep, and that has to be the bragging rights play. I'm pretty confident in the Astros. You're pretty confident in the Rangers, so that is that. And I'm looking forward to the challenge. It's really interesting how many games the Rangers steal, and I get it. The Astros have been struggling, and I value how hot a team is, and I value momentum, but I don't see a team as talented and as good as the Astros losing 2 in a row to Texas.
Yeah. No, I get it, but you're going to be wrong. So we'll see.
We shall see.
All right. Now, lastly, Kyle, we got to build our parlays. Build our parlays of what we're going to like today. I don't know. Do you have yours already figured out, or are you still looking?
I do, and part of it's because of you. The Braves, I didn't look into it too deeply. I knew the Braves were pretty hot, but I didn't know they were covering this much. And Washington's a terrible team. It's an ace against a terrible team with an Atlanta team that's been covering so much. At first, and I've been mapping it out during the episode, my parlay was the Dodgers play of the day, minus 1.5, the Guardians money line, and the Yankees money line. That's what it was at first. And I told you, covers in baseball are really hard for me to push on if the team's not elite.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm replacing the Yankees money line with the Braves. You got me there. The Braves cover. So my parlay, the final parlay is Dodgers minus 1.5, Braves minus 1.5, and Guardians money line. It's everything I said earlier. I don't want to repeat too much. The Yankees are in a divisional game against a tough opponent, and the Braves have just more arguments for them. Everything Jarrett said earlier, I like that more, and that's my parlay.
All right. I like it. So Braves by 2, minus 1.5, Dodgers minus 1.5, Guardians money line. Odds come out at plus 455. Pretty good value. Every $10 wins you 45. For parlay, I'm trying to build mine right now. Obviously, I got Braves by 2, my favorite play. My favorite over/under is the over in the Orioles Blue Jays over 9. I have that, and I'm trying to find out my last leg because there's kind of a lot of big lines today. Good little, not like huge, minus 300s, but a lot of minus 200 kind of lines. And I'm kind of messing around seeing what I want to do. Like I said, I like the Giants tonight, but the run line kind of scares me. At minus 250 money lines. Now, to me, that's too much juice. I can't do it. Red Sox are like minus 200. I could throw in Red Sox. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm trying to figure this out right now.
Dude, it's tough, man. The only reason I had it ready when you brought it up is because I was mapping it out during the episode. It's such a, how do I word this? It's such a full slate today. I don't want to say
Yeah.
good because I'm iffy, but there's so many things that can stand out. Like I was going through the slate today and I was like, oh, this can be a piece, this can be a piece, this can be a piece, and I had like I think like 7 games listed as contenders.
Yeah. And I think what I'm going to go with is Phillies Marlins over 8.5. So that makes my parlay Braves -1.5, Baltimore Toronto over 9, and Marlins Phillies over 8.5. Odds come out at plus 496. So pretty good value for a 3-teamer for $10. And that's gonna be my parlay. I'll be on the Rangers money line as a straight bet. Obviously, our bragging rights play. But there we have it.
Yeah,
So
it was a fun one.
Those are our plays for today, Tuesday, June 14th. That'll conclude this episode of Bragging Rights. Thank you all for listening. And Kyle, good luck to you tonight. Hopefully we can bring some money home.
Yeah, good luck to you too. Thank you to everybody that watches this. Good luck to everybody. And
Yep.
the plays will be posted on Twitter. Jarrett can tell you more about that.
Yep, at Bragging Rights on Twitter. You'll be able to see all of our plays, play of the day, dog of the day, our parlays, and just our leans in general. We'll post of plays we like. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, it's bragging rights with a Z, right? Actually.
Yeah, Bragging Rights on Twitter with a Z at the end.
Gotcha. Not instead of the S. After the S.
Yeah, after the S. So Bragging Rights with a Z after on Twitter to get all of our plays. So we'll see you guys next time.